Weight loss is tricky enough as is. Not knowing what foods to eat, that's even more obnoxious. So in this video, I'm going to share with you guys my 6 favorite go-tos when it came to losing 34 pounds 3 years ago now. So not only are these foods effective, but they are sustainable. And that's what we're really looking for. The first kind of food on my list are beans. These are so satiating. I find that if I leave them out of any meal, I constantly want to run back to the refrigerator and keep looking for more food because I didn't have my beans. These have not only slow burning starch, but they also have resistant starch. So these starches are going to feed our gut bugs and keep them happy and have them send signals to our brain letting us know that we've had enough to eat, we're satiated, and in effect, our appetite will lower. Beans are also super versatile. I put them in everything, whether it be soups or stir fries or salads. Sometimes I even eat them for a snack, and so does my daughter, my 3-year-old, as of today. It's her birthday. I'm really sad I can't spend it with her. But that's the life of a working mama. Anyway, you can either make these from scratch, like I prefer. You save tons of money, and they actually taste a lot better. And it's super convenient, super easy prep. This is maybe $1 for the whole bag, and this will last me for about 4 days. Well, myself and my family. These are the last batch I made, some black beans. I try to alternate them as much as possible. I also have canned beans on hand just in case, but I'm not a huge fan of canned anything because even though this is BPA free and organic, I'm very weary of the other chemicals in the liner of the can. I don't like those leaching into my food. So, aside from their versatility, their ease of preparation, and their satiety factors, they're also super high in fiber, which is another reason why they are so good for your microbiome. They're also high in water, as well as micronutrients. All 3 of these things hold 0 calories. That's why they're so beneficial for weight loss, among all those other reasons. Beans are just wonderful. They taste so good. So about a cup of beans per day is recommended for weight loss. And I definitely get at least a cup, if not a cup and a half, but I don't eat a lot of other starches. You have to coordinate your calories according to the principles of calorie density, and you'll have no problem getting to your weight loss goal. So the next food I want to talk about are greens. These are obviously super low in calories. The food with the lowest amount of calories on the planet, but also the highest nutrients on the planet. High micronutrient diets definitely help to regulate your appetite. If you're getting nonstop cheeseburgers or potato chips, you're going to be completely lacking in an array of nutrients that your body is going to cry out, waiting for you to replenish those nutrients. That's why you keep going back and back and back for 3rds, 4ths, and 5ths. Let's hope not, but some situations I certainly have when I used to eat those foods. So by eating things like beans and greens, you don't have to worry about going back and back and back for more servings. And you get to eat more. So you can either do raw greens, like in salads and such, or you can use frozen greens. These are much more convenient. I can throw these into stir fries as well as my soups, my bootables, anything and everything. Overall, I try to get 6 to 9 cups per day. That might seem like a lot, but it's really not once you get used to it. Once your body gets used to the amount of bulk that you're ingesting on a day-to-day basis. Greens are also extremely versatile. They don't have a ton of flavor, most of them, so you can really throw them into any dish and you will barely notice. And you can season them every which way. It's just a wonderful, wonderful food. Greens are great for weight loss because you can eat them in abundance without worrying about counting calories or whether or not you've had too much for the day. It is just so freeing to have a guilt-free choice when it comes to your meals, and beans and greens will definitely do that. If you're enjoying these tips, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I come out with videos every Monday morning on whole food, plant-based nutrition and how it pertains to weight loss. So the next items on my list may or may not be considered foods, but I consider them foods. So these are different herbs and spices. They come straight off of Dr. Greger's 21 Tweaks from his How Not to Diet. and you will see certain measurements in here. I'm not going to go over the measurements, but I'll show you the basic ones that I used regularly, like every single day, to get in the beneficial weight loss components of these herbs and spices. Cayenne pepper is a big one. Thanks to the capsaicin, it creates like an AMPK boost, kind of like as if you had exercised, but without the exercise. Nutritional yeast is another great one, as well as ginger. A lot of these have regulatory effects on your appetite, as well as your insulin response. Garlic powder. You can put garlic powder on absolutely everything. These are all very versatile. Maybe not so much the ginger. That's the one I have the hardest time finding things to incorporate it into, and finding different meals to incorporate it into. And then cumin. This one's used in a lot of Mexican and Indian dishes, and it is delicious. These spices are also really helpful for getting off of salty things. Like if you're used to using a lot of salt in your meals, things like the cayenne pepper and the garlic powder will offset that need for the salt and kind of soothe that longing for that particular craving. So that can be really beneficial for weight loss as well. The next foods I have on my list kind of go together. I put these in all of my cooking and my salads. So onions and garlic. I am a huge fan of fresh garlic, but buying it in this bulk, pre-chopped, pre-ready to go option is so much more convenient for my life. And in a whole food plant-based lifestyle, finding as much convenience as you can is super helpful. And the healthy choice should always be the easy choice. So if I have to make a compromise and get slightly less nutritious garlic because I am using store-bought pre-chopped garlic, then so be it. That's something I'll live with. But I always use fresh onions. I just love the flavor of fresh as opposed to like frozen or pre-chopped. They're much less flavorful. So I put these in, again, stir fries, soups, salads. Those are the predominant meals, I would say, in my diet to begin with. But you can even put these in oatmeal and make savory oatmeal. That can be super delicious with things like spinach and tomatoes and mushrooms, but especially with your onion and your garlic. These foods also create a very unique biofilm that is developed in your intestine that also promotes weight loss. And you can't discount the flavor aspect. All plant-based dishes should really have onions and garlic in them for the flavoring components. But also, again, if you're trying to get off any kind of salt craving, these will help tremendously in providing flavor in your food so you don't feel like you're missing out so much. All right, guys, 2 more to go. So my next one are berries. I always use frozen. I always have frozen berries in my freezer because organic fresh berries get super expensive in Wisconsin in the wintertime, and I'm sure many other states in America. So I try to buy frozen as much as I can. Even though they're not organic, frozen fruits and veggies are consistently shown to hold less pesticide residue than you would find on conventional produce that has to sit not only on a truck for a long distance, but then it has to sit in the grocery store and wait to be purchased. So farmers take all of these different things in account when they determine the amount of pesticide use to utilize on their crops. So I wouldn't be too worried about conventional frozen produce. So again, these are super high nutrient, super low in calorie, high in fiber, and high in water. All of the major components that you need for a healthful, sustainable weight loss diet. Berries also help to override and kind of readjust your sweet tooth. So like myself, I had a horrible sweet tooth coming into this diet. For the longest time, I had to use fruit as a displacement for my sweet tooth cravings. So just like greens are the most nutritious vegetable, berries are actually the most nutritious fruit. They have wonderful arrays of antioxidants and different phytochemicals that help to regulate all of your innate systems to get back on track with where your weight should ideally be. Last but not least, pre-chopped vegetables. I always keep a bag. This was full as of this morning. I always will have a bag full of pre-chopped veggies that I chopped up the night prior. If you don't make the healthy choice easily accessible and convenient, you are so much more likely to get off your plan and eat something you're going to regret and inevitably lead to less weight loss. Any non-starchy vegetable will do, but particularly in this bag, I had broccoli, cauliflower, radishes, zucchini, and carrots. And then I have tons of these frozen varieties that are all chopped, ready to go, pre-washed. Yes, again, these are conventional. I'm not super picky about my frozen produce being organic. Unless it's, high GMO type foods like sweet corn and such. The fresh ones I just use for snacking and honestly my breakfast most days. And the frozen are great for those stir fries and steaming these and just eating them with some of those wonderful seasonings I talked about earlier that Dr. Greger recommends for weight loss. Dr. Greger's literary review and all the different research studies that he looked into to determine whether or not those spices were helpful for weight loss go wonderfully on these different vegetable varieties. And I also use these in like Instant Pot dumps, as long as it's with something like quinoa or chopped up little sweet potatoes or mini potatoes, because then everything can cook at the same rate. I'm sure you'll see a pattern here. These veggies are obviously very high nutrient, very low calorie, high in fiber, high in water content. Those are the number one components I look for in weight loss foods. And they have allowed me to sustain this weight loss year after year after year. You just have to be consistent and make logical choices around those principles of calorie density. And I don't know about you, but I constantly seek that crunch factor and something to snack on. I'm a huge grazer, and I know it's a horrible strategy. It's so much more beneficial to your health to eat larger meals and without eating snacks in between to keep your insulin levels in the proper areas. But I work from home and it's very difficult to keep out of the refrigerator, let alone all of the more highly palatable things that my boyfriend has available at my disposal at any time that I have to refrain from on a daily basis. Things like Ritz crackers or my daughter's peanut butter. So I don't find that snacking on fresh vegetables is a big issue. I'm also a huge volume person, so being able to see that big voluminous bag of vegetables is so much more fulfilling to me than eating a tiny little portion of something more calorically dense. So that's just my strategy. I really hope that my insight has given you guys some helpful tips today on how to go about your weight loss with less frustration. If you do follow the tips in this video and tips in other YouTube videos and different social media platforms that you're utilizing and still are having trouble losing this weight, reach out to me. I have a consultation link in the description box below. I help individuals one-on-one get rid of excess weight and improve their health outcomes. So, thanks so much for watching, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you give it a like, and I'll see you in the next one.